Greetings, loyal viewers, loyal watchers, friends, neighbors, relatives, all of you who watch every one of my videos, even the new people. Today we have an interesting update based on a story that honestly I thought after I covered it and demolished the poor arguments that were presented by the alternative side was actually over, but it turns out I cannot just will something into existence and stupid stories like this go on. Of course, what I'm talking about, and again, if you want to watch the video, I'll link it in the iCard and the description where I break down the original story, is this supposed incident where a chemistry teacher reportedly used a racial slur in the classroom and was barely punished by the school. Now, in that video, if you guys will remember, there was a student walkout. This, for those of you who are not on the podcasting platforms, is an actual image from that student walkout, as insane as this is. And it turned out, through my investigation, through me delving into the details of the case, that he didn't use a racial slur against one of his students. He merely told his students to stop saying the N-word in his classroom while using the word, and then the students baited him into saying it again on camera, pretending that they didn't understand what he meant when he told them to stop saying that. And despite the fact that everybody knows this story was not only picked up by the local media, by the community, by the parents, by the students with their walkouts, backed up by the school board and the superintendent, but it's still going on today. As of right now, I'm going to do something about an update to this story from yesterday. This happened all the way back in the beginning of December, and we're still talking about it on January, in the first week of January. It's insane, it's absurd, we're gonna get into it, but before we do that, this video is sponsored, so let me toss it to the sponsor, bring it back over here, and we'll talk about it on the other side. Noble Gold Investments is here to let you know that gold is among the top class of investments for 2023. In fact, according to longtermtrends.net, gold actually outperformed the S&P 500 and Bitcoin for the entire year of 2022. So what are you waiting for? Start a precious metals IRA with Noble Gold Investments today, and if you transfer or start out with $50,000 or more, you will be gifted an American quarter-of-an-ounce gold coin, which is a great keepsake for you. Again, visit them at noblegoldinvestments.com or call them at 877-646-5347.
Developments on the Decatur high school teacher caught saying a racial slur during class.
So I absolutely hate, and I mean hate, the way that this is presented by this local news reporter. She's like, a new update on the story of a high school teacher who was caught, and I mean caught, saying a racial slur in class. Again, the context of the racial slur, which everybody knows the context of the racial slur, was him saying, don't use that in my class.
Two students were saying that, they were saying it back and forth to each other, two black students, and he was just like, oh, you can't say that, saying the word. And then one of the students goes, oh, wait, what did you say? Pulls out the phone, and he goes again, 2 more times, you can't say that.
A teacher told students to stop swearing, but since he said the no-no word in the context of telling them to stop using it, all of these kids who are perfectly fine with the word recorded it and are pretending to be affected by it and sad and walking out of the school a month later crying over it, and a bunch of children in the local media, the parents, the freaking school board, all these people are lining up behind the children because I guess we gotta listen to the idiot.
Well, we found out that teacher at the center of this incident, Mr. John Chestnut, who was briefly suspended after using that slur on December 7th, that he is now working in a role outside of the school while a third party investigates. Another new development that we found out today is the same goes for the principal.
Yeah, you heard that right. Not only is Mr. Chestnut, who was already suspended well back in December, the first week of December, for committing the grave sin of telling his students to stop swearing while he tries to teach them chemistry, but now he's on a new assignment along with the principal. So this scandal, which was ridiculous from the jump, everybody involved in it was acting like an idiot. And by the way, that includes Mr. Chestnut, who said it was due to the fact that he must have had some racism bottled up in him.
I got the opportunity to think about how and why that got past the filter, right? It's easy for me to wonder that growing up in this country at the time I did, starting in the past, that I have absorbed some racist nonsense that's still bumping around in my brain.
But the idiocy continues, and now there's an outside investigation, and now the principal is being brought down for suspending him for only a day, when in reality he did nothing wrong. But according to all the babies involved in this situation, he should have been suspended for much, much longer. This is just insane. It's ridiculous that they keep saying on the local news that he said a racial slur, because the context is everything, and if the context doesn't matter, then why did all those stupid kids, when they were being interviewed in the original news story, talk about how it's okay when black people said it because of context? It doesn't make any sense. It's so ridiculously stupid, yet everybody's playing along, everybody's pretending like this isn't insane, and I'm really getting bothered by it.
Students are back in the classroom after a holiday break. Students say they returned to faculty changes, and this letter from the superintendent of city schools of Decatur showing new action against the teacher who openly used a racial slur in the classroom. It announces, quote, Mr. Chestnut will be on an alternative assignment outside the high school during the evaluation period.
The language is just insane. The superintendent put in his letter that new action was taken against the teacher who openly used a racial slur in the classroom, as if he was calling a student that, as if he was using it as a part of his regular vernacular. That's just not the case. That's not what happened. He told students to stop using the word in his classroom because he didn't want to hear it in his classroom, and we're all pretending that him merely uttering those syllables without any context, doesn't matter, is a crime in and of itself. Now, a lot of people have compared it to the episode of the Boondocks where that white teacher repeated the N-word back to Riley and that whole segment, and they said life is imitating art. But the thing is, that was already a situation where art was imitating life, because this teacher basically said everything that that teacher in the cartoon said verbatim, and the Boondocks just stole it from that.
Teacher says that Keyshawn used the N-word first.
And I just kind of was stunned a second. Well, then get away from the door, nigga. And I repeated the same insult because that's sort of what I've been trained to do.
The school district says that is not what they trained English teacher Paul Dawson to do.
Why is this word used so frequently? So I just don't understand it, and I'm trying to understand it. I need help. Yes, I use nigga. I've used it. I admit it. I put the H on it to emphasize it's nigga. You know, nigga this, nigga please, nigga. You know. Can you lend a nigga a pencil?
And this really isn't that situation. That guy actually thought it was acceptable to use it with the A versus the ER and all that stuff in that whole segment, and you can find it on YouTube, or you can find it in the Boondocks episode, or whatever. But in reality, this guy knew that the word was unacceptable, he just didn't want them to use it. So while this guy thought he found the acceptable use, Mr. Chestnut was like, no, it's unacceptable in the classroom, and people are like, how dare you, white person, white man, we're going to continue to protest now a month on.
We have to put this together. I'm just one person. You guys have it.
This video from December 16th shows Principal Rochelle Lofstrand talking to students after they organized a walkout. The letter also announces the same change to her position and explains steps being taken by the district, saying, quote, the third-party consultant will evaluate the response of the school and district, review processes and procedures, and conduct restorative sessions with students and staff to help our districts heal.
So yeah, that's footage from the rally from somebody's cell phone where the principal is talking and like people are shouting and all that. And now the principal has also been alternatively reassigned, because apparently a teacher telling a student to stop using the N-word is so bad that we need to reassign that teacher and we need to reassign that principal. Need I remind you that not that long ago in this very same school district, maybe in this very same high school, there was actually a student who brought a firearm into the school, and they didn't seem to fire any staff related to that, even though a firearm was allowed to be brought into the school. So guns are less dangerous than the N-word coming out of a white person's mouth, even in the context of him saying, don't use that word, that is not a good word to use.
Some students say the temporary change is not enough.
Of course it's not enough. It's never enough until you give automatic A's to every black student in chemistry so that they can go and get those STEM fields that they're being denied due to evil racist teachers who don't want them to swear in the classroom so that they can learn chemistry. It's never going to be enough. The whole community full of children, they're going to be protesting about this for years, even though, again, there's a gun incident in the very same school school district, maybe even the very same school that nobody seems to care about. It's not a big deal. Violence in the schools? That's normal. Don't worry about it. Forget about it. It's all good in the hood. A teacher telling a student to stop swearing in the classroom? Call the National Guard. Get the local media. Month-long coverage. We need to remove the principal. The superintendent's job probably is going to be at stake. The school board needs to make statements. The parents need to have rallies. We need to have meetings and struggle sessions and all that stuff. Third-party investigators. Everything needs to be done because some syllables came out of a chemistry teacher's mouth.
I feel like the school district should just fire him because of the simple fact that this school is trying to preserve racist quota.
You know, in the last video that I did about this, I highlighted some girl that was talking about how it's okay for black people to use the N-word because it's a term of endearment and the context matters.
Some people who use it, who are, reapplying it, it has a negative history, but they're using it in a positive light to build their community. I understand. Many people have their own relationship with this word. My thing is, this is not a white people thing.
But also, there's no context in which it matters when a white person says that word. It's somebody who could not understand that she was arguing against her own position. And I pointed out that if the schools were in better shape, they would produce less ignorant students. Well, this guy just said that they're trying to keep a racist quota in the school.
I feel like the school district should just fire him because of the simple fact that this school is trying to preserve racist quota.
Not realizing he's trying to say a racist status quo. So obviously, the failures of the school go far beyond their overreaction to this. Maybe if they actually focused on teaching the kids rather than pandering to them, they wouldn't be so embarrassing on TV. A racist quota is gonna be replacing this chemistry teacher with some random black dude with half the qualifications in order to make everybody feel better. This is totally ridiculous, and again, a perfect example of what we're talking about. This kid is not offended. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's uneducated. He needs the school system to actually function as a school system rather than pandering to all these idiotic kids who are obviously not learning anything and just want to flex their racial power over their teacher.
I feel like the school district should just fire him because of the simple fact that this school is trying to preserve racist quota. And I feel like as a black man myself, it makes me uncomfortable knowing that teachers can be racist and they can still work here.
First of all, they don't work there. So again, you're like, it's not enough, even though the teacher and the principal, for some ungodly reason, were moved out of the school district. By the way, the principal sided with the students, so even siding with the students is not good enough. The only racists are the students in the school and everybody in the community that won't take context into account due to the fact that the teacher's white based solely on the color of his skin. And he's saying, oh, wow, I can't believe they still get to teach at the school, even though they're not at the school. That's the update. That's what they asked you about. Maybe if you weren't focusing so much on the racist quota, you would have noticed that. But again, this is just where we're at in this country, and the school district is still going 1 month strong on this controversy. And that whole thing with the gun in the school, no big deal. Look, I was not expecting to cover this story again. I thought that it was over because the teacher was already suspended. Sure, we had embarrassing students and embarrassing parents, but overall, I thought the teachers union would hold strong for their guy. But apparently, it's not over. It's never over. This is going to be an ongoing thing throughout the rest of the year, and we actually might see Mr. Chestnut completely fired from his job. Or worse, an even more absurd outcome, which is they can't technically fire him because it's really difficult to fire a unionized teacher, so they have to reassign him outside of the school, but continue to pay him all the way up to the point where he retires, because that is a sensible resolution to this situation. A chemistry teacher told his students to stop swearing, but he had the audacity to repeat the word, so he needs to be removed from the school, not able to teach again, but we can't fire him, so we're gonna pay him to be in whatever Georgia's equivalent of the rubber room is. It's just insanity. And every time they interview these kids, I realize how badly the public school system is failing them. I realize that there are dire consequences to treating everybody like their babies, and parents going along to get along with their kids, the school board doing the same, the superintendent, and the local news all pandering to these idiots who just need one English lesson in context. I mean, this guy needs to know the definition of quota versus status quo, and he also needs to be updated on the fact that when they're removed from the school, It's not you still being able to teach there after you say this racial slur, racial epithet. Everybody in this story should be ashamed of themselves, but especially, as I said before, the adults that are all involved. They crafted this dumb school system. They elected the woke school board that's backing the children. They're the ones who prioritize the non-existent, non-legitimate feelings of the students who actually went out of their way to trap this teacher in such a way so that they could hurt him, over the education of those very same students. Again, this is a chemistry teacher. This is somebody who is giving them help in a STEM field, and they're not in that chemistry class. They have to find a substitute, all over nothing, all over a non-incident, all over something that you could have resolved with that one-day suspension if you want to send the message that even when you're telling students not to say it in that context, we don't want that uttered in our school because it could stir up this whole controversy. Look, I'm hoping this is the last time I will be covering this story, but in reality, we could be delving into this all over again in a month when they get more idiotic students to be interviewed, and there are more consequences against Mr. Chestnut for daring to utter those syllables in the direction of a black person, even though he was telling that person not to say it because that's a bad word, because that's the same thing as throwing a racial epithet at somebody in anger in this country nowadays. But hey, those are just my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you like this video, then show them by leaving a like. Subscribe for more content. Follow me on all my social medias. Support me via the support links in the description box of this video. Why am I talking like this? Till next time.